Hello, 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 and welcome to episode 27, not 23. Why did I almost say 20? 27 of the Cooler Guild. I am Coop, and joined with me, as always, is my co-host, Van.
Hello.
We're recording on Tuesday, March 18th, 2025. On today's episode, we'll be discussing the Reigns season opener from Saturday night at Lumen Field versus Gotham FC, as well as taking a look at the rest of the opening weekend in the NWSL.
But first, some housekeeping.
The Cooler Guild is part of the Sounder Heart Podcast Network. You can either listen to us on our public feed, or if you're a Sounder Heart subscriber, on the private unified feed with the other podcasts on the network. If you'd like to become a subscriber, just visit our page at sounderheart.com/the Cooler Guild. New subscribers get 10% off the normal rate, and you'll help support everything we're doing.
Word. So we went to the game, but we'll talk about that. We're just going to pop right into the match recap and move on from there. So the Reign kicked off their 2025 season on a cold and blustery night at Lumen Field versus Gotham FC. After an evenly matched first half, Gotham got on the board in the 47th minute with a shot from Gabby Portillo, deflected off Jordan Huitema and into the back of the net. Not giving up, the Reign shifted the momentum in their favor and were rewarded in the 71st minute when a loose ball frenzy in the Gotham box ended with Emery Adames sliding into the ball and scoring the Reign's first goal of the season. The drama continued when Gotham's Mandy Freeman was shown a straight red card in the 87th minute for a nasty skating tackle on Aurelia Mondesir's ankle. The game ended in a 1-1 draw, and the Reign remain undefeated in the 2025 NWSL season.
Jesus. Really generous there at the undefeated.
It might be the last time we were able to say that this season, so.
I don't think so.
Nah, I think we'll win the next game.
We'll see what happens. I got some threatening stuff for the next game, but we're focusing on this game. So, Van and I went to the game.
We did.
We popped by before the game. We popped by the doctor's office. Not the actual doctor. If you've listened to our podcast, you understand that the doctor's office is one of our sponsors, and it is a sweet little bar. But we popped in there and hung out with the owner, Matt, for a bit before the game because he's going to the game as well. In little tidbit of information for everybody, but we got to see the unveiling. I mean, it was very unofficial unveiling, but we got to see the unveiling of we've got a trophy. Everyone, we've got a really cool trophy for the Cooler Player of the Season, and it's like inscribed. It's got a little cooler on top. It's got Phoebe McClernand right on the front of it because she was our Cooler Player of the Season last year.
Yep.
And there's room to add more, but we're planning on having that on display at the bar. So if you're a fan and want to go check it out, I'll double check with Matt and make sure he has it up. But it was pretty cool to see that. But yeah, then we popped over to the game. Pretty good seats we had. We sat in the club section, which I think for how horrible the weather was.
Yeah, it was. We were like a row into the dryness, so the seats were kind of wet when we got there. But yeah, it was. My mom bought me like the 3-pack of tickets before they even released the schedule.
Yeah.
So, I didn't realize they were club seats until she sent me the tickets. But
10 out of 10 recommend a club seat during this part of the year. Truly. Yeah. The game was fun. I think there's been a lot of complaints about maybe the atmosphere. I mean, if you're a Seattle soccer fan, the atmosphere with Sounders games, and kind of just what it feels like on the concourse and stuff like that. But like immediately getting into the Reign game, there's just so much buzz.
Yeah,
and people were super excited. What are you doing, Alex?
Is she lurking?
She's like got a cup of like tonic, and I assume tree sap flavor. Oh, she has an NA cocktail. She's looking out into the distance,
disassociating after a long day of doctoring.
Yeah, I guess so. Anyways, it was really distracting. You want to add on to like the experience?
Well, you were in the middle of saying something.
Well, it's been interrupted by this random person just lurking.
This is the only place to enjoy the sunset.
She's trying to enjoy the sunset. That's fair.
Oh, go enjoy the sunset, Alex. I support you.
Anyways, now that my wife is interrupted and enjoying the sunset, I don't know. The atmosphere, I thought, like when we were driving in, it just felt like there was a buzz. Did it turn out there was like a little festival thing happening or some sort of wine thing at the convention center, event center next door? But like it was pretty busy around the concourse, and it just felt, I don't know. I feel like there's a real excitement when we go to rain games that I don't necessarily get at other sporting events, and like it's like a positive buzz. Like it's not like, I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like
it didn't seem like the atmosphere and just the energy around the game when we were, in line and everything was, people were excited. I don't think that the malaise from last season really carried over very much.
No, there was no linger.
So I think that's a really positive thing for the team. And I think people really got into the little YouTube series they put out.
Oh, for sure.
The week before the first game.
Yeah, the little traders series that they got, which I believe today, Tuesday, was the last episode. Good series though. I'm a fan of the traders, the US celebrity version, celebrity in quotes. But it was fun to see the Reign players kind of work through that themselves, because I've always been, I don't know, I feel like the celebrities kind of put on a show, so it was fun to see like athletes take a stab at it. But
I think it just kind of created a different excitement surrounding the season. And like you were saying, walking through the concourse, it was upbeat, people were excited, and it was, and I think that continued throughout the game.
And that's with like horrible weather,
atrocious weather.
Like, I mean, it cleared up, I don't know, by the second half, maybe I don't remember. We were slightly undercover, so I didn't fully notice when it cleared up, but I mean, it was terrible. So the fact that people were like in a good mood, even with like gale winds coming through and all of that, was nice to see.
Yeah, and you might have noticed like that the Royal Guard section behind the goal was a little sparse in the first half. They were still there. Yeah. They were just up a little bit under the covers.
Yeah, and you can't blame them.
And you can't get those instruments wet,
No, you can't blame them at all. But you could hear them. Yeah, should we get into the actual game portion, or do you want to add anything else to our experience from the day?
No, it was just really fun, and it was good to kick off the season.
Yeah, so the game ended in a 1-1 draw. Key players missing. I think everyone was a little disappointed, myself included, just because I don't get up to many games. Linby Ndolo was out.
Yeah.
What a bummer. And then maybe the other notable big person was Roosevelt. But as a Reign fan, I mean, I want to watch Roosevelt play, but not maybe necessarily against our team.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I feel like the game overall, you could tell it was the first game of the season.
Yeah.
But I also felt like for how many problems the Reign had with their defense last year, I thought they looked pretty good.
Yeah, it was a solid effort. There was one marking mistake, and that cost them a goal.
Yeah.
But I think overall, it was an improvement. And it was something that last season, we're always like, well, defensively, we're always, pretty good. And then they would prove us wrong in the next game.
Yeah, Claudia Dickey was pretty solid. I think a big surprise for me was maybe Shea Holmes.
Yeah, that one for sure. But we noticed that during the last preseason game.
Yeah, for sure.
At Coachella. I was like, oh, where'd she come from?
Yeah, she seemed to turn it up a notch or two this offseason, preseason and offseason.
Same with Madison Curry.
Yeah, I mean, we hadn't seen her on our team, so I think that was just fun to see what we got with getting her on the team.
Yeah.
She had a really good game. I don't have her like noted on like the positives that we'll go over later, but I think she's probably going to be a starting player for sure.
Yeah. I like her. I like that addition to the back line.
Yeah. I had a notable stat, which I think there was another one that they called on the broadcast, but one notable stat I had was Gotham had won 17 of their 26 matches last season, which I think they said it was like 15 or 16 of their last 21 games they had won, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Especially since we suck so bad. So the fact that
in the regular season?
Yeah, in the regular season, sorry. So the fact that we came in and able to get a draw, I mean, obviously you want to do better at home, but given how bad we were last season, we can't get too greedy.
Yeah.
So I'll take the 1-1 draw against Gotham, who like also I mean, I don't want to talk about the championship, but like we're the better team. Granted, they have Mitch Purse missing as well, but I think the expectations for the Reign they're not high, given what happened last year and given the amount of turnover that we have. I would say the expectations at this point in the season are not high. So walking away with a 1-1 draw felt very good as a Reign fan.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they're not high. I would just say that they're realistic.
Okay, yeah.
Nobody's coming into this thinking that we're going to win the championship this year.
Well,
but if it happens, great.
Nobody. Maybe I'll throw my name in the hat.
Yeah.
Why not?
It's NWSL. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a fair result for the game, but I think it's a really good starting point for the team.
Yeah.
And there was exciting things that happened in the game, and I think that from a marketing perspective, I think it was an exciting game.
Yeah, for sure.
And people, even when the weather's shitty, they're going to want to come back and watch that again.
Yeah. I mean, there were so many new names, a lot of turnover of some players that people really liked, even, including the season before, right, with losing Roosevelt and Emily Sonnet and Megan Rapinoe. So we signed all these young players not knowing how they were going to perform and if they were ready to play at the NWSL level. But I think with players like Madi Darlene, it's pretty clear they're trying to make a name for themselves in this league. So I think they're giving fans a reason to keep coming back.
Yeah, and, on her, the stats maybe aren't on her side for this game, but from a viewing perspective, I thought that she played well, and I liked the pressure that she put on the back line. And I think coming into what Laura Harvey said after the game in the presser, when she crossed the ball and nobody was there after she had a little break.
Yeah.
It's like, well, nobody's going to be there. They're not as fast as you.
Yeah. Which, hey, that could change once Biondolo is ready to go.
Yeah.
I mean, because usually you've got like one fast person on your team just making the run up themselves. And now we've got somebody who's trying to be a playmaker in Darlene, and then pair that with someone like Biondolo. That's a pretty good thing to be dealing with your team. So
yeah, I'm not mad about it.
You got any other kind of general notes about overall thoughts of the match or anything like that? So before we roll into the positives?
No.
Okay. I had my top positive was the Young Guns. And that included Maddie Darlene, Emery Adames scored the game-tying goal, and then Jordan Bug. I think those are pretty obvious positives. Jordan Bug is just a monster in the back line.
She's incredible, yep.
She's like so mature for her age, what she's doing back there, and she's kind of picking up the pieces too when there's some little mistakes. She did kind of get a little cooked on one play. But she ran with it still. Like there was I think a moment where she could have stumbled and kept falling, but she stayed on her feet somehow.
Yeah, the announcer said something about they like breaking her ankles or something, but
like,
she was still on her feet.
Yeah, she's still on her feet. She like shifted her body weight and stayed up. So I was impressed with that. And obviously Adames comes on, and what is a few minutes later she scores a goal. I mean, she just threw her body into that chaos and put her foot in the right place.
Yeah.
And she was ready. She was like, you can see her like waving to like kind of be ready for it. And then she just makes the perfect run straight into the chaos and gets a goal, which was credited to her this time.
Yeah.
I was, and like I said, Darlene, I think there are some people maybe a little too harsh on her. I feel like adding on to what you said, the tenacity of her is something that I'm really, really excited about.
And you see it a lot with young players, they're still learning. And to be in this league, she's been in college for, the last couple years, and now she's playing with adults.
Yeah.
And so you have to figure out how to play smarter and conserve some of that energy and use it wisely. But I think that once she learns how to do that, and once she kind of gets more dialed in with how she can be productive, I think it's going to be really cool to see.
Do you want to do positive? I thought last one you got listed.
Yeah, so I added a spicy Haidama. Beginning of last season, if you listen to this podcast since the beginning, maybe we didn't even air these episodes but we were talking about Jordan Haidama. You know, she just needs to get a little stronger,
Meaner.
And by God, we're seeing it.
Yeah.
She, you know, goes 50-50 with Berger, right?
Yeah.
50-50 with Berger. Berger ends up taking herself out. But yeah, that's what you want to see. And, you know, she's going into tackles. She's, you know, getting riled up when things aren't going her way, which is fair because I feel like she does not get the foul call she deserves.
Yeah, that's kind of been a trend for a while. And I'm hoping now that she's kind of
fighting back.
Yeah, that'll help her with the refs and seeing her. Because it seems like she's always getting fouled and no one ever really gives a shit.
And it's not, and you know, you can see that she's gotten stronger. You can see,
oh yeah, for sure,
that she's staying on her feet. So it's not like she's just falling over hoping for a foul. No, she's getting taken out.
Yeah, she's 23 years old, which is still pretty damn young.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I think we had higher expectations, but I think they were a little maybe raised too high just because of her age. But I'm excited about the player we're seeing this year so far. I think maybe it has something to do with Canada and taking that anger out on on us, which I am fine with. And
that's cool.
Hey, I get it. I'm here for it. Another positive I had, we kind of talked about it briefly, but Shea Holmes. A little stat I saw, looked up, was she led the team in touches and attempted crosses. And that's stuff that I was kind of skeptical about, I would say, last year in terms of trying to get her into the attack. So seeing that she's trying to get involved more, and she is by having a bunch of touches and also laying in those crosses, because I feel like a lot of those crosses, maybe she attempted and I don't know, maybe she was not able to get them off. The fact that we're seeing them now is giving me a lot of optimism for where she's playing on the field, because I was kind of not sure if she should be playing that I thought maybe she should be playing center back.
Yeah,
for a while.
That wing back seemed to be a stretch.
Yes, but I don't know that it is. This year I'm seeing the improvements that we needed to see, and maybe just last season wasn't set up for anybody to kind of thrive.
Yeah, I mean, she crossed the ball that Berger couldn't get to, so she had to kind of paw it away, and that's the one that landed in front of Coco that ended up with Adamas scoring. So, huge contribution there.
Another positive, Gotham fans, this is kind of a petty one, but, you know, I love being petty. Gotham fans failing to understand the rules in regards to red cards. And the reason it's a positive is because it makes them look silly. And I always support that. And anytime Gotham fans can look silly, I'm, full support of.
Yeah, because the red card that was given, we'll talk about the other play later, but the red card that was given was fully deserved.
Yes.
There was no intention of playing the ball. It was reckless.
From behind.
And she could have broken her ankle.
Yeah.
Literally steps on her foot.
Anytime I see that stepping on the ankle and then there's a skating thing happening across the field, I am like, holy shit.
It just looks gnarly.
Yeah.
And we couldn't really see it from the stands on our side.
Yeah, and they don't replay that stuff in the stadium either, unfortunately.
Yeah. But it was bad.
I was watching the replay and I was just like, holy crap.
Yeah, and the Mike got a photo of it.
Yeah.
That was
photographer for Rolex.
Yeah, Mike Russell.
I don't know how anyone's sitting there and saying that shouldn't be a red card. There was the argument of if that one's a red card, then the other one should be, which is the one on Jalen Howell. That we'll go to that in the negatives, but
you're not comparing the two. This itself is a red card.
She wasn't in control of her legs.
No,
and you can't come at someone from behind like that and skate on their foot. That's just it's reckless. It's reckless.
Yeah, just because the officiating was crappy.
Yeah,
for the entire match doesn't mean that this one decision is wrong.
No. Next positive,
we scored a goal.
One goal. But hey, we had troubles with that last year.
Yeah, and last year we didn't really get lucky ever.
No, Harvey talked about the presser about it does take some luck, which we had done last year. I mean, I don't know if luck would have changed a lot of things, if we're being honest. But
we didn't really put ourselves in a position to get lucky.
Exactly.
That was a lot of the point last year. And so, even having that amount of players in the box, we had more touches in the opponent box this game than we've had in a while. It just felt more productive from the offensive end of the team. Yeah,
and that's without Lane being Dolo. So
right.
Another positive, I want to shout out the defense. They shut down a stare. I like every time I had to play we have to play Gotham, I'm always just like, oh God, not a stare.
I know.
What's gonna happen? She didn't have it. They shut her down.
Lethal, yeah. Well, she had a couple chances.
They managed her.
Yeah, a lot of her shots, I would say most of her shots were from outside the box or were just kind of fleeting chances that, okay, we'll give her that all day.
Which every now and then, I mean, she's definitely going to score some of those this season. But if you can limit those chances for a player like her and her quality, then that's a win in my book.
Yeah, big testament to the back line there. And leading into my last positive, in the 40th minute, there was a weird instance where Bug had gotten the ball in the back and was clearing it. This is about the halfway line. And it bounces to a player and it comes back over the back line. And I think it's Portillo has a breakaway. And you can just see, Bug and Curry just booking it back. So they were able to actually work together, and Bug kind of closed her down. Curry stayed central, and it forced Portillo to cross the ball into the middle. But because Curry had come back with her and was doing a really good pressure cover defense, she was able to clear that cross that came in.
I felt like the communication looked much, much, much better this game than it had most games last season. So that includes Claudia Dickey.
I still don't see the communication, but McLaren didn't yell at her this game, so I feel like that's not that I saw, at least.
Yeah. It's 1-1 draw, so I mean we always have negatives just because you can always improve everything. But I think the biggest negative, the missed red card on Jalen Howell, I think was number one for me. I mean, it's not
atrocious. How is that not?
It should have been a red card all fucking day. I cannot.
Jalen Howell has her leg up in the splits
higher than her own head would be if she was standing.
Right, and into Maddie Mercado's face.
Yeah, her head
studs up into her face. Yellow card. Don't even review it.
I was flat because we couldn't, real time. We're in the stadium, whatever. I saw a bunch of internet hubbub on Bluesky about it, and people saying, well, if the other one was a red card, this was a red card too. And then we got back to your house and we were watching it and we were like, holy fucking shit, watched it a dozen times and cannot believe that they didn't red card her.
No, it was insane. We were rewinding it.
Yeah, which people rightfully were like, well, why is the white girl not getting a red card? But then you got Mandy Freeman. I mean, that's a fair thing to be concerned about. I get
for
that.
Sure. You don't want any racial inequity in refereeing.
No. And could that have played a factor in this? Potentially. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I'm looking at this from what was the play on the field and was there a missed call? And I'm 100% there was a missed call with Jalen Howell.
And even if it's unintentional, that is serious foul play that cannot happen.
No. Okay. Here's the thing though. The defender is going up with their foot. At that height, if someone else is coming at it, they're coming in with their head.
Yeah.
So
it's not like she lifted her boot up to get to the ball and the player the head was down at the waist. It wasn't that. She was standing straight up and got a boot in the face. You cannot do that.
You also cannot let that slide.
No, there has to be punishment for that.
Which is funny because, Jalen Howell was on our team last year, and we were definitely two people who were very sad about her leaving because we did like her physicality and stuff like that. But she is known for having some very, very questionable plays on the field like this. I would say
questionable physicality.
Yes, and I would say this is probably her worst offense. And the fact that it's maybe her worst offense and it didn't get called as a red from the, the officials is horrible.
I can see how maybe it gets missed in real time. Okay,
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. Because like
We
there's bodies.
have VAR.
Yeah.
There are people sitting upstairs with TV screens that are seeing all the angles that we were able to see when we came back to my house and watched the replay of that face scrape.
It was so obvious.
How do you not pull that in for review?
Sometimes you don't get the angle, but like if they went to review for Freeman's, why was...
When Mercado was down for a hot minute, they could have pulled the play. They could have pulled the play and been like, okay, wait, we're going to wait on play to resume because we're like talking to the upstairs. No, they didn't do any of that.
Yeah. It was horrible.
It was an extremely bad missed call. Also, hilarious to see how terrible Gotham fans know the rules. And even the freaking announcers.
Yeah, that was pretty terrible. Because none of that feeds into fans, getting the wrong, I would say opinions, but like the wrong, it's just a misunderstanding. It continues the misunderstanding of what is a reckless challenge, right? So if you got commentators, announcers being like, no, that's fine. That is not fine.
And their argument was there was no intention. Okay, sure.
That's why reckless exists, is because you didn't intend for it.
Right. Sorry, officer. I didn't mean for the gun to go off. You had a gun. Your foot's in the air.
Yeah.
This one just, as my mom would say, chafes my hide.
Jesus.
It's a Tonyism for you.
Yeah, the refereeing was not great. I don't know that like we were in a situation where I felt like the refereeing necessarily like ruined the score line. So at least there's that.
Well, if we were up a player earlier.
It's true.
Well, and then like the Gotham fans were arguing online that Heidemann should have been given a second yellow, or had the yellow that she got should have been the second, because of they've somehow internet keyboard warriors decided that her running in
not that phrase
her running into and Ketchum Berger on a 50-50 ball was somehow a yellow card.
The way Ann Katrin Berger plays, she invites that kind of pressure into things.
Yeah, and that's one reason I like her.
Yeah, so it's not like, I'm not saying that like sometimes things happen and because the way she plays, it's never foul, but like you couldn't tell. That's not like.
And they were both going for the ball.
Exactly.
And it's not like Heidema purposefully bodied her. She was literally Heidema was going for the ball, and Berger put her arms out to punch the ball away.
Yeah.
And Heidema ran into her arms because that's where the ball would have been.
Yeah, it was just
so there's no way. But anyway, back on that horse. Okay.
The next negative I need to shout out is how we gave up a goal shortly after the second half kicked off. I think it was from a corner kick, but very, very reminiscent of last season. And I do not want to see that because I'm just having PTSD thinking about it.
Yeah.
No. Please, let's clean it up. Like we could have walked out with a 1-0 win had we a little bit learned our mistakes from last season. But first game of the season, I guess I'm not going to be too harsh on it. But
yeah, we can't claim to have any sort of I don't know, pattern at this point this season.
But
I'm not gonna loop it into last year's pattern. I can appreciate the similarity, but I'm not calling it yet.
No, but it is kind of making me like I said, I got PTSD.
Second half starting second half PTSD. Yeah,
exactly. What negatives you got?
James Turner. The first half, so like there was definitely, the team looked better in the second half. That's obvious, but we kept looking at each other like, where is our midfield? It was just like something's missing, and then you're like, okay, who should be on this person? And James Turner is like trying to catch up.
Yeah,
it was like a constant game of catch up,
and that's where the goal was.
Yeah,
you were pointing this out to me. Admittedly, I'm not a huge. I'm, trying to learn more, obviously. But you were pointing out when we watched the replays, we got back to your house, of the goal that Gotham scored, and you're like, James Turner's like out of position. She's not covering where she needs to be covering, and if you go watch it back,
Yeah. I don't know if I could put it fully on her, but she's the one that ran at that player once the ball came out.
Yeah.
And so it's like you need to be closer and if you know you're not going to be able to cover that ground.
Which I will say, like, starting the time the goal happened, again, maybe it's that right after the kickoff, maybe that was part of the issue, but you need to be on more.
Yeah, the complacency isn't going to cut it.
No.
And she did come out in the 69th minute.
And then we scored not
and
long
credit
after.
to Laura Harvey, we made a substitution before the 60th minute.
I know. We both looked at each other and were like, what? Before the 60th minute?
It's a whole new world.
Like, she snuck it in there before the 60th minute, but she got it in.
She did.
Yeah. Okay, so by the end of the game, Gotham's putting on a sub, right, for Esser, right? And who comes on? We can't tell. We're not looking at these like stats of who these players are, right? They don't tell us what's going on with these players that are subbing in.
Yeah, it's an extra time too. It's like the third minute of extra time.
Of a 1-1 game, right? This game's not in the bag. You're also down a player, and they sub on a player who we later find out is 14 years old.
The youngest player ever to play in the NWSL.
I don't think we need to go on a huge thing about this, but this should not be happening.
No, this should not be happening at all.
No.
It's, well, for all the other reckless things that Gotham did this game, here's another one.
Yeah, add it to the list.
If you know anything about this league, you know that children should not be in it.
No, absolutely not. Get a youth academy going or something, but like you should not be having a 14-year-old come on in a game. Don't support it. You can have your own opinions about it. I don't care. But like my opinion is fully, there should not be players that young in this league.
No.
So, do you want to shout out the last one?
Yeah, and I think that this will happen the further into the season we get. But Sam Meza came on, in the 90th minute, I think.
And the negative is we want more.
Yeah, the negatives is that we want more. But I think that the idea from Laura Harvey was, she deserved to get on the field in the first game. And I'm excited to see more of her. But it sucks that we didn't get to see more of this game.
Whoa, so drama not spicy enough for you?
Not enough hotheads in this week's matchups?
Want to add a kick to your game day meal?
Spice up your life with Hacks and Ferments. Handcrafted in Georgetown and made with the best local ingredients from across the Pacific Northwest. Specializing in unique, small batch fermented hot sauces and vinegars. Hacks and Ferments brings bold flavors and natural fermentation together for something truly special.
Whether you're a heat seeker or you're just looking to elevate your cooking, you'll find something you love at hacksandferments.com. That's HAXANFERMENTS.com.
And right now, if you use code SOUNDERATHEART at checkout, you'll get a hot sauce completely free with your order. Again, go to hacksandferments.com, use code SOUNDERATHEART, all one word, at checkout for free hot sauce with your order.
Hacks and Ferments is a proud sponsor of the Sounder at Heart podcast network.
Thank you for listening to the Sounder at Heart podcast network, which now includes Nos Arietes, Lobbing Scorchers, and the Cooler Guild. We've been independent since August of 2023, but need your support to make sure it continues. Although this podcast is free, it's only made possible by your continued support. Memberships start as low as $25 a year, which not only helps make podcasts like this one happen, but also gets you access to everything we produce. If you're able to support us at higher levels, starting at $75 a year, you gain access to a host of other perks, most notably entry into our members-only Discord, where the smartest, funniest, and most engaged commenters share their thoughts and ideas. To find out more, just visit sounderatheart.com and click the subscribe button in the top right corner. Thanks for listening.
Got some presser notes.
One thing I thought was really funny. So Bug and Adames were in the player presser.
Yeah.
I can't remember what word it was, but I've got to look this up because it was so funny. I was going to write it down and then I was like, oh no, I'll remember it. I didn't. Shocker. Yeah, so Jordan Bug goes, when they scored, we weren't shooken, and goes, shaken. We weren't shaken. And then later in the press conference, Adames says something and says shooken. And Jordan Buck's face just goes.
I like that. That's funny.
But
I
they
watched
had some.
No, go ahead.
Oh, they were really complimentary of the older players. You know, as we've spoken about before, there is a considerable age gap on the team, but it seems that they feel comfortable and everybody's gelling really well. So I'm pretty hyped about that. Like when your locker room's good, you're more successful.
I feel like a lot of the theme of this preseason has been we finally had a preseason together.
Yeah.
We finally got to hang out and like get chemistry going and get to know each other, and we didn't get that last year. So yeah, I'm optimistic about that. And the Harvey presser, this is kind of something that I think when we talk about like Maddie Darlene and Haidema and Bien Dolo and Coco, and there's always kind of like, who should we be starting? It doesn't seem like Laura Harvey is necessarily set on who is going to be at the top by any means. It's she's seen it as a rotation thing, right? Based on who the opponent is and maybe what the week is. Maybe that some player kind of needs a little bit of rest, whatever it is. They want to be pressing for the full 90, and we have enough depth in that forward pool to just kind of just keep at it, week in, week out. So I thought that was like when we talked to Susie, I was just like, do you think she's gonna have a like a best 11 starting 11 like every week? And I it doesn't sound like that's necessarily gonna be the case, at least for the forward pool, but I don't think that's a bad thing.
No, I don't either. She also kind of comparing it to the last season. She told the team after the game, I'm not sure we'd have come out of that game last year with a point. And I have to 100% agree.
Yeah.
I think that there's more fight in this team. There's more, and already even more chemistry. There were some passing combinations, like the one that led up to the goal, G to Haidema to Mercado to Holmes, just a lot of combinations that we didn't see last season. She also talked about Curry and how that her coming into the team said she'd been a seamless transition since the moment she started training with the team, and I think that was visible at Saturday's match.
I'm feeling very good about the fact that we were able to sway her to come over here.
Yeah,
I think that is credit to Laura Harvey as well, because it seems like Curry was looking for a team with a coaching identity.
Yeah.
And I think players around the league are well aware that you can find that in the Reign.
Yep.
So cooler player of the match.
Cooler player of the match is brought to you by the Doctor's Office, a great little 12-seat bar on Capitol Hill. The owner is a big fan of the Reign and is proud to be our first sponsor.
Cooler player of the match we gave him this week. Want to make sure she gets her flowers, given maybe some of our criticisms last year. Or at least, I don't know about criticisms, but like our lack of excitement maybe.
Yeah.
Shay Holmes. She's getting the first cooler player of the match of the season. She did not have this podcast out last year, so technically she's the first ever
first game
cooler player of the match. So congrats to her.
Well deserved. I think that she keeps playing the way she's playing. It's gonna be very helpful for the team
for sure. So once again, thank you to our sponsor. The Doctor's Office is the best place to grab a drink before or after a Reign match. I really love their Spanish coffee. Speaking from personal experience, it is an experience you do not want to miss.
Not at all.
It's Spanish spirits in the cores blended with Boon Buna coffee, lit on fire and finished with salted Benedictine whipped cream. It is... I don't want to give any spoilers about what the experience is like with it, but I'm not kidding when I tell you have to go try it yourself.
Yes. We thoroughly enjoyed the entire experience of this drink.
I got everyone to clap by the end of the performance of this drink. Everyone in the bar joined with me in the clapping of what I had experienced. So go check out their Instagram at TDO Seattle, or better yet, go drink there in person. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, so let's move on to the community questions and notes. We posted this in the Discord, so if you are hoping to maybe have some input, questions, whatever, best way to do that is go join the Sounder at Heart, was it membership level? when you go sign up, it'll tell you which level you need to get access to the Discord, but that's where he posted it. So first one we had was from Steve. Do you pronounce his name Vaught or Vaught? Steve knows who he is. Shout out Steve. We're in 6th after week 1, ignoring the caveats of vastly insufficient sample size. Does that feel too high, too low, or just about right? Relatedly, big surprises for the Reign or league-wide after week 1.
Biggest surprises,
sorry. Do you think 6th place makes sense for us right now? That would be
I think so.
playoff level.
I think from what we saw with the fight that the team has, and being without, our biggest signing of the off season, and still being able to pull a point out of that game.
Yeah.
I would say it's fair. And the only reason we're in 6th and not 7th is because we have less cards than Ghana.
Which, and I wouldn't, I mean, I don't know, maybe some of the yellows were deserved, but the ref was definitely card happy. So
the yellow on Bug definitely was not deserved, because I just rewatched that today, and she literally just clips her little heel. Boom, yellow. Ugh.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's fair. But again, these standings change so much throughout the season.
Yeah, that's why the NWSL is so fun.
What do you think?
I agree with that. If you want to go into the second part of the question, biggest surprises for the Reign or maybe other teams, I'm surprised Listener is going to stick it out with Chicago.
I 100% agree on that being a huge surprise after their 6-0 whopping with Orlando. Shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there was a moment maybe where I said to you, I don't know if it was on the podcast, maybe not, but like, I wouldn't mind having Nair, like a veteran presence on our team. And now I just feel bad that she's stuck in Chicago. I mean, I won't be surprised if she does a early retirement after hoping to get through. Because I don't know what's going on with Mallory Swanson, but without that, I mean, they're already a pretty I don't know what the word is, but the team's not very strong. So you take that out, and it's a real situation there. So I feel bad for her.
None of it was really her fault. So that it's a surprise that she's still there. Other surprises, I have this in a later part of the episode, but it may not be like an actual surprise, but it's not a surprise to us because we've been talking about this for years. But Ali Watt is a star. Ali Watt showed up in the Orlando game this week and is a star.
I know we got a lot of money for her when she went over to Orlando, but I'm still bitter that she's gone. And, bitter with whoever let her go for the transfer. But
it made sense for the team at the time because she didn't fit into the system. She wasn't getting a lot of playing time. So I think that this was an incredible move for her, and it's allowing her to now be the star we always knew she was.
I know. I think the real surprise with that maybe is that we knew Ali Watt was going to Orlando, but we didn't know Orlando was going to just be the greatest fucking team we've ever seen in the league. And now it's like, shit. But good for her for being part of that, I guess.
Results wise, Steve, I don't think that there were a lot of other surprises from week 1, but again, every week is a new surprise. So in this league,
you want to go to the next one?
Yeah, Alejandro says, walk me back from overhyping the young players. Adames, Bug, Curry, Darlene. Please add any you think I missed. Any omission is a failure of post or not. What?
Well, I was just going to say that Alejandro came up with a great nickname for these players.
Obesity.
Okay, ABCD.
No, people name their children this.
Okay, well, we don't need to get into that, but why did you just pronounce ABCD? ABCD?
Yeah, people name their children that, and that's how they pronounce it.
Okay, but this isn't... I was just pronouncing like I do the alphabet.
Okay.
I like the ABCD.
I see a lot of weird names in my day job, and that is how you pronounce that name.
Okay.
But as a moniker, I would 100% agree we should not pronounce it that way.
Anyways, the last part of that was please add any that you think I've missed. Any omission is a failure of the poster, not the player. Okay, don't be so hard on yourself, Alejandro.
No, don't be hard on yourself. I think you got them all.
We're faking it till you make it, all right? So no shame.
Yeah. I'm not going to walk you back from overhyping these players because let's hype them up. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with all 4 of these, there's been full reason to overhype them.
Yeah.
At least so far.
Mm-hmm. So until they give us a reason not to, I would say keep it up.
Yeah.
And we're right there with you.
Yeah. Next one's from Lick It. Shout out Lick It, fellow producer of Sound Heart Podcast Network podcast. After Check's notes, match day 1, there was a vocal minority that was convinced because Coco came on as a sub and had the highest G+ on the team that it was concrete evidence that Harvey, in air quotes, has no clue as far as lineups. On the surface, we could say we wouldn't mind Coco starting the next match, but in your opinion, is it a bit too early to have any lineup set in stone?
100% yes.
Yes. Also, anyone who had that opinion, I did see this. A lot of people have been like, Coco should be starting whatever. And I think we kind of felt that by the end of the season. But we already mentioned the presser with Harvey, and her intention is to be rotating all of these players who are threats.
Yeah. And I think that, like Harvey said, when talking about Coco in the post-game presser, Coco's more fit now. She's kind of more adjusted to the league now. So there's going to be more opportunity for her to get playing time. So I think did it prove that she should start? I would say no, because if she came on and changed the game, great, but we needed that in that moment.
Exactly.
So you could also call that a good coaching decision.
Yeah.
So depending on how you're looking at it, could go either way.
Yeah. And that's great. I also think like her skill set is something we don't have from everybody in this rotation of forwards, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you need to be wise about when you bring her on and when you start her. Like Harvey said, based on the opponent and based on, maybe the week.
Yeah, and she seems to, like, one of the problems we had last season in regards to like her not maybe catching on right away was that like she's a very creative player.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed that we were a very linear team at the time. And so having her on with the younger players, I think they help with that creativity element and better kind of meld with her on the field.
Yeah. Those are good questions. I like those from them, from everybody. Steve, Alejandro, like it. Thank you. Always makes it more interesting. We're like, I don't know, we have similar minds with I would say stuff, so it's good to kind of get other people's think what they're seeing kind of stuff. Anything else you want to add on to the game? Final thoughts?
I am still excited. It was going to be rough going into the first game, and then all of the off-season hype and everything, and then just to come on and maybe not. I didn't even care if we lost. I mean, I would care, but I wanted to see something different.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted the team to have a different energy about them.
Yeah.
And I feel like I got that.
Yeah, I think so. I'm very optimistic. I mean, you can't really do much worse than last year. But given the turnover and the acquisitions that we've gotten to take over some of those spots, I'm feeling pretty good about it. And I'm feeling good in the sense of I want to watch this team and I'm curious on what they're going to do, whether or not it hits this year to the level of success that I want to see and that maybe we expect of this team if it hits this year or if it's next year. That's yet to be determined.
Yeah.
But I have reason to at least think they're on the right path.
Mm-hmm.
So that's great. Other things going around the league since it was opening weekend, we kind of wanted to highlight a few things that we saw. Do you want to kick it off?
I watched the Orlando game. Okay, Orlando versus Chicago. You know that we are
on the Barber bandwagon, and we're like Orlando Pride fans.
Yeah. Low key.
It's not even low key.
Yeah, it's pretty high key. And holy Barbara Banda. There's not another player like her. She had one on the build up to one of her goals. She literally turns the ball and just makes a player. Like, what? Another one, she's got back to goal. She's got a player on her back. Ball comes to her. She flicks it over that player and just turns and burns. She's incredible.
She's humiliating people.
Yeah.
Which you like to see. But I mean, Chicago.
Oh, God. But yeah, Barbara Banda had a 9.4 FOP mob rating. I don't know that I've ever seen one that high.
I don't think I have either.
She ended with 2 goals and assists. But again, Ali Watt, she had a goal that was, again, incredible. Just from a Marta corner in and near post, she gets her body up and just contorts herself to put it in the back of net. Incredible.
We haven't seen a lot of teams have success the next season, right? When they win the whole thing. At least I would say in like this newer era of it being more competitive. And I think Orlando is going to tear the league up again.
Yeah, it looks like it, but I mean, Chicago could also just be the worst team in the league, and we just don't know that yet.
I don't disagree with that part, but I also think that a team like Orlando, given how they won last year, this is what they should be doing to teams that are as bad as Chicago. They should be humiliating them, and that's what they did. So,
and credit to Seb Hines for keeping that group intact and motivated. I think that's great. So
it's funny because you watched the Orlando game. They had the Orlando game and the Spirit versus Houston game on at the same time, and I was
stupid.
Like, it was super stupid to kick off the season on a Friday night. But I was like, well, I feel like I know what's going to happen in the Orlando game, so I want to watch the Spirit versus Houston game because there's a lot of acquisitions with Houston that were very exciting. That I was like, I want to see if these are working out for them. And Spirit are very good, obviously. And it was a 2-1 loss for Houston, but I don't think Houston looked that bad. And I think they've got some pieces that have me feeling like they're going to be able to compete pretty well. The Houston had a majority of the possession. I don't. The 2 goals that they gave up were definitely defensive mistakes. It didn't feel like it was Spirit taking over everything like they maybe can do. But I don't know. I think I'm a little skeptical if this whole thing is going to work out with Houston, given what I know about how it went for the Reign when they were up for sale.
Yeah, that's the other thing that kind of worries me about that team.
Yeah. So I'm seeing what I like on the field. I'm just skeptical on the back end stuff that I hope the sale doesn't affect the players too much, but I don't know if they're gonna is there a Houston buyer interested in them? I don't know.
Yeah, I just hope that they don't end up like us like last season.
Yeah,
I really do. I hope that like that kind of struggle never happens to another team for the better of the sport.
There was so much optimism with their acquisitions and stuff.
Yeah.
And then like 2 weeks or 3 weeks after they got all these players in, it was like the team's for sale.
Yeah.
Oh, like that sucks.
I watched the KC PDX game.
I watched part of it.
First half, KC was up 3-0. The end of the first half.
They got on early too.
Yeah. So it kind of looked like it was going to be a blowout.
I was hoping for it.
Credit to Portland. Credit where credit's due, even when it's the shittiest team in the league. They stopped the bleeding, and they ended up coming back scoring a goal. So it could have been a lot worse for them, but like you always say, Casey?
Fraud watch?
Fraud watch? We don't know. We don't know if they're really that good.
I keep them on fraud watch. I know they got Chewinga, but I don't know, man. Sometimes they're not playing as well as I think they need to be playing against certain opponents.
Chewinga was doing Chewinga stuff, but yeah, when she's not getting the ball and when things aren't working for them, they're really kind of duds.
They peter out.
Yeah.
Like they get on these like spurts of just like kicking people's asses, but they're not like they don't sustain it as much as like they need to, and they don't kind of do it throughout the whole game.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I put them on Fraud Watch last year because we were talking about how Portland's really bad this year, and so if KC isn't taking advantage of that, I'm skeptical.
That's why it's hard, like first games of the season, because you don't have anything to compare it to.
Yeah, but KC was at home.
I know, but when I'm talking about like how bad Portland is,
Yeah,
we don't really know how good KC is. So it's hard to make comparisons at this point.
Yeah. Any other notable games you want to shout out?
We'll just go over them. Utah tied Bay 1-1. Louisville tied and North Carolina Courage 1-1. And Angel City. Right before that, Angel City played San Diego, and that was a Monday game. And the day before,
It was a Monday game.
yeah, it was
Sunday.
Sunday game. My days are wrong. I don't know what's wrong with me. The day before, Sydney LaRue went online and announced she was taking a mental health break from soccer.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. So I was interested to see how that game went because, as we know, Angel City has an interim head coach in Sam Lady.
Mm-hmm.
So in San Diego, what's going on there? You know. So that was going to be an interesting one to see. You wanted to talk about the goal, though.
Yeah, I mean, San Diego came out and scored a goal, and I don't know. I didn't know what to think what San Diego was going to do, right? Because they've got some good players, but like given everything they got going on, I just really wasn't confident that they were going to turn it up. Because you asked me a prediction beforehand, and I had said, maybe I'm falling for the marketing of Angel City. But I was like, I think Angel City's going to win it, or it's going to be a draw. Sure enough, it was a draw. But like Angel City didn't look good, so I was just like, I feel like I've fallen for whatever Angel City is selling me. I feel like an idiot. I feel like so stupid. I was just like, this team is not good. Like they got Alyssa Thompson, and she did show up for them in the second half. Got the equalizer, nestled it into the far post. Really good like run from her to get that ball. And tucked it away perfectly, absolutely perfectly. And I think there was a little bit of not criticism, but like the hype that was with Alyssa Thompson at the beginning of last season kind of was dying down a little bit. I mean, she didn't get the call for the national team at, the Olympics and all that. But I think she's ready to come back, and that has me worried.
For us,
but I think that the marketing and fear maybe, or like the hope that I thought that maybe Angel City was going to take this game and win was dependent on how Alyssa Thompson was going to be playing. And so the fact that she was able to kind of get that goal, I think is really going to be key for her confidence going forward with this season. I don't know how the rest of it's going to work with the team. I'm still
because that was such an individual goal.
Exactly. And their coaching stuff is still not figured out. They don't seem to want to hold on to Sam Lady as head coach. I can't tell if that's a good or bad decision. I don't know. Obviously, I like Sam Lady, but I just don't ever know what the identity of Angel City is.
Yeah, celebrities.
Yeah, I mean they're creating like a brand more than they are a club and a team.
That's how it's been since the beginning.
Yes, and it bothers me. It really does bother me. Because
it's kind of like the antithesis of like what, like the purity of the game kind of idea.
Yeah.
Like your brand should be about the experience you create. It should be about the way that you treat your players. It should be about how you run your business, right?
Yeah.
All the values that you have and all these things, and how your players, step up for the community and things like that. And I just don't, it feels very LA to me, which
I mean, it is an LA sports team. So like every so often they like make a run at it, but they've usually got the money to go out and buy stars in those areas. And now with their new ownership, I would imagine they're going to have some new acquisitions at some point, depending on how things go between now and then the next window that opens. I think there's, some time that they're going to wait and see how things are going.
Yeah.
But I'm now keeping my eye on Angel City because of their new ownership, and the amount of money that they now have access to is just it's an advantage that I think they need to make sure that they like exercise it, right? Like, don't just focus on your brand, build your team, try to actually make a sports team. But I don't know, maybe they don't care about that still.
Oh, maybe they're just like the capitalists of the NWSL.
I mean, sports are like that. So
yeah. Next
match. Yeah, go for it.
We're playing North Carolina Courage away Saturday, March 22nd at 4 p.m. on NWSL Plus.
Yep, I made a note of players to look out for. Is Ashley Sanchez and Jaden Shaw. Are things clicking for them? I don't know. They got a 1-1 draw against Louisville, and I wouldn't say Louisville is a team that I'm always afraid of by any means. So I think this. And
Bethany Balser is still MIA.
Yeah, who knows what's going on there? I hope she's okay. But we're not good at playing North Carolina.
No, we never have been.
At North Carolina, especially.
Yeah.
Just keep those expectations under, control. I wouldn't say freak out if something goes wrong, but I do think we have a team that could pull up an upset.
Yeah.
Especially, I don't know what Lynn's status is.
Well, Harvey talked about her being day to day.
Yeah, I don't push it.
And yeah, but she also said what every coach should say, and that is that we don't want to play her and have it, aggravate the injury and then lose her for longer.
Yeah, that's a far way to travel too. So
we'll see if we get to see her. But
it seemed like there was some speculation based on some of the videos they were showing after the game with Lynn talking to, I think it was Emily Sonnet and I don't know who else it was, but they were like, I think it was Tierna Davidson.
I think it was Tierna Davidson, yeah.
They were kind of like, like miming with their foot or like reenacting with their foot like an ankle roll. So speculative, but it seems like maybe they're talking about how Lynn like tweaked her ankle in practice. But Harvey seems to be optimistic about where she's at and the recovery of that. So if she doesn't make it out for this trip,
it'll be sooner than later. They also talked about how Olo picked up a knock. So she wasn't able to play, but it sounds like, that's in the plans to have her pop into the game day roster when she's healthy. So that's exciting.
And Brown's still on the recovery, but they had mentioned that they're trying to have her ready by, some point this midseason.
Yeah.
I think we wanted to do a shout out to someone we met at the game.
Shout out Patrick, who was sitting in our row.
Yeah, that's a funny story about this.
Well, Coop and I were talking and we're like, he seemed to be by himself, and I don't know, he just looked like a nice guy, but I was like, should we recruit him to listen to our podcast? He looks like he listens to podcasts.
Yeah.
And so I turned to him during an injury break in the second half, and I was like, do you listen to the Rain podcast? He's like, are you guys the Cooler Guild? I was gonna ask, and I was like, oh my god, no, we were just trying to recruit you. We forget that people actually listen to this.
I know. Yeah. I mean,
thank you for that harsh reminder. But I also I asked Patrick what he thought of the game after the game. And he said they had a great second half fighting back. The changes made big difference. And his favorite player of the game was Jordan Bug.
Shout out Jordan Bug.
Shout out Jordan Bug.
The Bug Brigade. Bug Brigade. I'm trying to brand it. I'm not going to own it, but I'm trying to make it a thing. I'm on the Bug Brigade. I bought one of the new jerseys, still waiting for it, but I got a Jordan Bug jersey. So I'm all about it. I'm all in this year on her.
All aboard the Bug Brigade.
Exactly.
So anyway, shout out Patrick. Thanks for chatting with us and being a fun row mate for the opening game.
And then I also wanted to shout out Emily. Ran into Emily, my good friend, one of my good friends. She's done some pretty sick tifos for the Sounders before, but she was at the Ring game, and I hadn't seen her for a while, so it was nice to see her. She's a lovely person. Got anything else?
No.
Cool. Anyways, you can go follow us on social media. We're on Bluesky and Instagram, kind of. Cooler Guild Pod, you'll find us there.
You can send us an email because we love an email.
And
that is at thecoolerguild@gmail.com.
Van
You can
will
also
maybe Van will maybe respond to you someday.
I'm so bad with emails.
She's just like, I need a response.
I
though."
read them and I get really
like
excited
months.
and happy that somebody sends us an email, and then I'm like, what do I write back? But please send me an email and us an email.
We do read them.
I love reading them. Even if I don't respond, know that it made my heart happy if it was nice.
We haven't got any bad ones yet, so feel free to send us a bad one. We need one bad one.
You can also visit us at our main site at soundatheart.com/the Cooler Guild.
We've upgraded our cameras. Officially upgraded our cameras. So
4K, baby.
Yeah, 4K, HD, whatever you got. So go subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/the Cooler Guild. We'll start having video there. Either starting this episode or the next episode. Don't know if it'll be every episode, but we'll definitely be kind of getting some stuff up on there. So stay tuned for that. Anything else? I think that's pretty much it.
If you wanna, you can on our Sounder Heart site. You can leave us a tip, which would be great because I can't afford new lighting and my lighting sucks in my recording area. Or maybe you don't want to see me, so.
Actually, I'm gonna fund you turning off the light. Remember to go rate wherever you listen, 5 stars. Till next time, I'm Coop.
I'm Van.
I wanted to come up with the slogan. What do we think of
Stay cool.
Stay cool, y'all.
Y'all.
Yeah, I'm gonna add the y'all. Bye.
Bye. Angharad James Turner. Angharad James Turner.
Woof.
You're gonna cut all that out, right?
Probably not.
I'm bad with names, okay?